What's up everybody, it's July 27th, 2016 and it's time for today's episode of Level Up, our daily video game news show where we bring you all the latest and greatest stories from within the video game industry. And today we are kicking off with, could it be that we finally know what the Nintendo NX is going to be? There's been various reports coming out, this one specifically from Eurogamer, which cites several sources to indicate that the Nintendo NX will be a handheld console, which, if that is true, I find really staggering and would be completely against what we expected it to be. They said it's going to be this handheld console. It's going to have detachable controllers, and the main kind of brain of it will be able to go into a docking station, so you hook it up to your big TV, which kind of goes on from earlier reports where it said it could be something that was going to be a hybrid between the home console and the handheld market. They've also gone on to say that the physical media choice for the NX will actually be cartridges, similar to the 3DS, which isn't actually too surprising, but there's been reports that will be maxed or capped at 32 gig for like an SD card, which is kind of a little bit on the low side when we see games now on PS4, Xbox One being 50, 60 gig. Obviously there'll be maybe a lot of digital into this console and digital updates as with the PS4 and Xbox One. Apparently it's going to run on a proprietary operating system designed by Nintendo and not Android, as a previous earlier report had said. So all we know is that we're going to find out a lot more official information on the console later on this year. This is obviously only reports and speculation. Personally, I think it's going to be a very hard sell if it is going to be handheld. The casual gamer like their boxes that they can just put on the TV, plug in and powerful. And more importantly, how is this going to spec up against the PS4 and Xbox One? It needs to kind of be able to run those games. If it kind of is low on power, again, the third parties are just not going to go and support it. And we know that the success of the NX will rely on third parties. Nintendo alone is not enough to bring success to the console. As we have seen from the latest Wii U sales, Nintendo have also been out, something official from the Japanese company has been their financial reports for the last quarter, and they've had a 31% decline in sales when you compare it to the same period in 2015. This kind of is attributed to two things. Firstly, the 3DS is down 7% year over year. It still managed to sell just under 1 million units though in that quarter, which is pretty good. But the Wii U suffered a huge drop, dropping over 50%, 53%, and only selling just over 200,000 units. So obviously the announcement of the NX that we just touched on before has probably very much affected the sales of the Wii U. We know it's pretty much dead now, but obviously right now it is hurting Nintendo in a big way. Yes, they're quite healthy with cash as it sits right now, but this NX has really got to be a success. So just kind of touching back on the original story there, they've really got to be certain that what they've got is going to appeal to the masses and not just their fans, because there was a time where Nintendo fans were enough, but they need to now bring in the newer generation of gamers that have only really grown up with a PlayStation or an Xbox. And the way you do that is your third-party support, as I said before. Moving on, we talked yesterday about the Games of Gold lineup for August. A pretty good lineup over on Microsoft's consoles there. Sony has now announced their lineup for August. The PlayStation Plus games going into the Instant Game Collection. And on the PS4, we'll kick off with, and there's going to be Tricky Towers, which is, again, it's pretty recent. We definitely recently talked about it on the Game of the Week show. It looks very much like a Tetris-based game, but kind of a competitive element to it. And also on the PS4, you'll be getting Rebel Galaxy, which is an action game where you explore the galaxy in your ship and transporting cargo and fighting off pirates. So, sounds pretty cool. Don't know much about it, but definitely from the description it intrigues me. Over on the PS3, users will be able to get Yakuza 5, which is the most recent entry in the series to launch in the West. We'll touch on Yakuza a little bit more in just a moment. And also you'll be getting Retrograde, which is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up where you travel backwards in time. And then closing out on the PS Vita, not to forget Sony's handheld, we will be getting Ultratron and Patapon 3. Patapon 3 being another one of these PSP games. It seems very much now Sony is sticking to their first-party games and they're going right back into the catalogue to PSP. The lineups, definitely, they're kind of toning down on this now. As a month, I should just actually add that Ultratron is actually cross-buy with the PS4 and Vita and PS3. So PS4, PS3 users do technically get 3 games this month. Lineup as a whole, not great if I'm being honest. When we compare it to Xbox and Microsoft's lineup that we talked about yesterday, both the Xbox One games, both the 360 games are really, really good. Obviously, everyone has different tastes, but I just think that Microsoft are just knocking it out of the park that little bit more than Sony. They're definitely kind of striking, especially on the PSP or on the PS Vita. See, even I'm calling it the PSP now because that's the only games they seem to give us. The Vita has so many really great games, and I just wish that they would offer a little bit more on the PS Plus lineup, because back a couple of years ago it was much stronger than it is now. Will we see it change with PSVR coming up in the near future? Who knows? But those are your 6 games. Make sure you go download them when they go live next Tuesday. And if you haven't downloaded July's games yet, make sure you do so before they go away. As I said, they're quote-unquote free. No excuse not to add them to your library, even if you have no intention of playing them in the near future. So we talked about Yakuza before. There's been an announcement for Yakuza 0 coming finally to Europe on the PS4. We knew it was going to be early 2017, but Sega has now announced that it will be coming January 24th, 2017, so very, very early in the year. A little bit of background to Yakuza 0. It's set in 1988, set prior to the events of the original Yakuza. It'll be an early look at the returning characters that we've seen within the game. Yakuza, obviously, a fighting kind of triad game. Looks pretty cool. We've seen trailers for it, which looks intriguing. I've only really had little taste of the Yakuza series, but I know there's big fans out there. January, really good time to release the game before much else comes out. So if you're a fan of Yakuza, that's something to look forward to early in 2017. And the final news item of today, another game that's in the work, maybe one that will appeal to a bit more of you, I don't know, but Three Fields Entertainment has announced that their work has begun on their driving game. Now, if you don't know who Three Fields are, it's a studio founded by Alex Ward, who is the original creator or founder of Criterion that made Burnout. So basically this game is very much going to be the spiritual successor to Burnout. So really, really excited to see what they bring to the table with this. If he says work has begun, he only tweeted that out literally today. So if it has only started today, we're looking at another couple of years easy before we see this. We did know they also released Dangerous Golf earlier on this year. That was kind of received a little bit with mixed critical reception. Not really something I was interested in, but I'm really excited to see this. Love the Burnout series, one of the best racing series of all time. Can't wait to see the spiritual successor. So keep an eye on Three Fields and maybe follow Alex Ward on Twitter for updates. Definitely a game to keep your eye on when it eventually does come out. And that's it for today. So thank you very much for tuning in and watching, everyone. Let me know down below what you think about this NX kind of report. Would you be down to it being a handheld hybrid kind of console? What do you think of a PS Plus lineup? Are you excited for those games? Is it another disappointing month for you? Let me know. And if you're excited for Yakuza, and you don't tell me if you're excited for Burnout Spiritual Successor, just tell me how excited you are, because I know everyone's going to be excited for this game. So yes, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you all next time.